Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something, not like a memory, but a real presence? Like the past is still hanging in the air? What if that feeling isn't just poetry? What if it's a clue to how reality actually works? Let's get into it. There's this amazing French word for it, sillage. It's the trail a boat leaves in the water, or that trace of perfume you notice in a room after someone's gone. It's an after-presence, a perceptible trace of something that isn't even there anymore. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with this whole idea of the lingering sillage, then see how history can become present. After that, we'll look at the artist as a system builder, rethink memory as a living network, and finally, we'll even touch on the physics of creativity.
Okay, so let's dig into that core idea. What happens when we take this concept, this sillage, and apply it to something more than just a scent? I mean, what if ideas, images, and sounds have their own kind of lingering trail?
This concept of sillage actually expands across all our senses, which is so cool. Think about textural sillage. That one powerful line from a book that just gets stuck in your head for years? Or visual sillage, like the afterimage of a really striking painting that's just burned into your mind's eye. And of course, there's sonic sillage, the echo of a song that just won't fade away. And here's the crucial point. This isn't just about art and literature. This is about our own lives. It's that feeling, right? That lingering presence of an experience, a conversation, a place that keeps shaping how we see the world long after the moment itself is gone. It's a really fundamental part of how we all perceive reality. All right, now let's see where this idea takes us. Because this is where a pretty poetic metaphor starts to transform into a really powerful theory of time itself. We're moving from a personal feeling to something way bigger. So let me ask you this. If a single experience can leave a trace, what about the incredible weight of history? What if huge historical events don't just end? What if they diffuse into the present, leaving this complex, lingering trail that we can still perceive today? Turns out this phenomenon has a name, historiophany. Now, this isn't just remembering the past. It is an experience. It's a moment where history literally breaks through the veil of time and shows up as an active, living force, right here and right now. It's history revealing itself. And these are not just abstract ideas. A historiophany can be triggered by really concrete sensory things. It could be the tolling of a bell in an old city square, where you suddenly just feel the weight of centuries. Or maybe it's the patina, that layer of age and decay on a painting, or the glitchy, almost ghostly images in an old film reel. These aren't just old things. They're the past performing itself for us in the present. Now, you might be thinking, this is just a cool philosophical idea. But for one artist researcher, this entire framework is the basis of a deliberate, systematic, 30-year-long interdisciplinary practice. It's all about mapping the afterglow of the past. And this is the key shift. Instead of treating these moments, these historiophanies, as just random poetic feelings, this artist treats them as data points. Yes, actual data. They're like clues, signals from the past that can be gathered, analyzed, and transformed into a whole system for understanding the world. And there's a methodology for this, called the art operation. It happens in 3 stages. First, you're in the field, gathering raw data. Sensory impressions, historical artifacts. Then you move to the laboratory, where that data gets transformed through experiments. And finally, everything is documented in a living archive, which isn't just for storage, but it's a tool for an ongoing conversation with the work. So what does this new way of seeing history really look like? Well, on one side, you have the traditional view, history as a straight line, a simple record of what happened, telling one single story. But on the other side, you have this new model. Here, history is layered, not linear. It's an active presence in the now, something you experience. It totally dissolves the idea of a single timeline. And the proposed science behind all this is called historyomics. It's a field for analyzing history as a complex system. It studies what's called the historiome, which is basically the vast, interconnected web of all historical data. The analogies here are really powerful. Think of it like the human genome, or a blockchain, where every event is connected to everything else. Okay, so if history isn't a straight line, what does that mean for our own minds? Well, this is where the model completely deconstructs our conventional idea of memory. So first, just forget the idea of your memory being like a filing cabinet or a movie of your life playing in order. That's a powerful metaphor, but it's also a misleading one. The reality is way more interesting. Instead of a line, I want you to picture your memory as a vast, living web of connections. It's dynamic, it's shimmering, and everything is interconnected in ways that just defy simple chronology. So, how does this web work? The mechanism has a name: index, reference, resonance. The idea is that every experience you have is an index point in this network. A new experience doesn't just get filed away, it sends a resonance shooting through the web, lighting up all these cascades of related memories. It's why a certain smell can instantly transport you back in time, and it helps explain that weird feeling of déjà vu.
So, if our own memories operate like these complex living networks, what happens when we connect multiple minds together? The implications of this kind of thinking go even further, applying these principles to the very physics of how we create things together.
I mean, it's a pretty wild question, right? It bridges art and hard science. What if the problems we have in teamwork, the friction, the projects stalling out, could actually be understood using the language of physics?
This idea is called equilibrium theory. It's a model that uses physics as a super powerful metaphor. Equilibrium is basically a measure of the friction or resistance in a creative team. When a project just grinds to a halt and loses all its momentum, it's reached a state of collaborative equilibrium.
The theory boils down to a few core ideas from physics. First, energy. Any creative team needs constant energy inputs, cognitive, emotional, social, to stay complex and innovative. Without that new energy, the system tends towards entropy, which is just disorder and messiness. So the big takeaway here is that to avoid getting stuck, teams actually have to strategically disrupt their own balance to stay dynamic. And that brings us right back to where we started. From a lingering scent all the way to the physics of teamwork, the big connecting thread is this: the past is never truly past. It's an active presence that leaves a trace, a sillage in our world, in our minds, and in our work. And the most exciting part is that this is a trace we can learn to perceive, to map, and ultimately to navigate. This whole idea transforms history from something you just read about into something you can actually sense. It gives us a brand new lens to look at our own lives and the world around us. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what historical sillage, what lingering trace of the past is waiting in your own life to be perceived?